A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Hello, Buckeye Nation, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Welcome to this episode of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. I am Tyler Johnson, joined by Mr. Jordan Dalton, Nick Leisure. Gentlemen, happy Thanksgiving to you both. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Ready to eat some food.
Ready to talk about the game. The only game that matters this weekend.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, there is, of course, a lot to talk about. Before we get to any of it, guys, as a reminder, if you would, just take a quick second and drop a like on the video if you would. Help that YouTube algorithm grow, and also subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. 2 shows per week. You want to make sure you don't miss any of it. We had a lot of people tuned in to our first show of the week, so we really appreciate that. And again, every show will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for audio if you rather just listen to the show instead of watch the show. But we really do appreciate that support. Gentlemen, before we get into the game, ran a fun little poll since, of course, it is Thanksgiving. What is your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Whoever wants to go first, and then I will actually read off the poll results as well to see what Buckeye Nation the consensus is.
Mine's mac and cheese.
I'm a big stuffing guy, dude.
Stuff.
I think if it's so my uncle makes this fire stuffing, dude. I don't know what he puts in it. Just like 8 sticks of butter, probably, and just goodness. But yeah, stuffing is definitely my go-to.
See, it's funny you mentioned that because that's probably my second or third. I do love stuffing, but for me, you know, for anything really, you're never going to beat mashed potatoes. You're just not. I mean, I could eat, you could give me an entire pound of it, and that could just be my meat, and I'd be completely fine with that. But the poll results, guys, are actually very, very close. With 518 votes, now again, there's still 18 hours left. I don't know how many more people are going to go vote. But mashed potatoes is in the lead at 39.8%. And in a close second, we have stuffing at 37.1%. Sweet potato casserole, 13.3%. Green bean casserole, 9.8%. I did a second poll as well because some people wanted some more choices. And mac and cheese is absolutely destroying the options. I put candy yams, cranberry sauce, and homemade noodles. Mac and cheese is up 72%.
Out of those 4, of course, mac and cheese is dominating. What?
Now you got to make a poll with just mac and cheese and mashed potatoes.
I probably will. I think I'll save that for tomorrow because since obviously that will be Thanksgiving, so I think that would be a really good one. Whatever 2 polls win, they'll square off against one another. I think that'd be pretty fun. But a question that one of my coworkers actually presented me today. Last question about Thanksgiving, then we'll of course get into the game. Is mac and cheese really a Thanksgiving side dish? That was a question that was asked to our entire group today. So what do you guys think? Is mashed potatoes really a traditional Thanksgiving side dish?
You say mashed potatoes or mac and cheese?
Is it
Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese?
Yeah, mac and cheese.
Absolutely. I've never had a Thanksgiving dinner without mac and cheese.
See, I'm the opposite. I
Like
feel
homemade mac and cheese?
Yeah, I never have mac and cheese at Thanksgiving. It's like literally just the basics, like turkey, taters, stuffing.
Mac and cheese.
No, not even. Green bean casserole. I even have corn. Dude, no, corn is in there before mac and cheese. No, I never have mac and cheese at Thanksgiving. Maybe we're just weird.
I think you're just missing out, honestly.
I mean, probably.
Well, one of my coworkers said they never have mashed potatoes or mac and cheese for Thanksgiving, and I just
mashed potatoes.
I felt bad for him.
Yeah, that one's wild.
I think mac and cheese is. I mean, I've had it every year, so for me, I guess I would consider it a traditional Thanksgiving side dish. I guess it kind of depends too, just in your family. Every family has like different traditions and whatnot of things that they make. Mac and cheese has always been one of them that I feel like I've had it every Thanksgiving. So, again, let us know in the comments, is mac and cheese a traditional Thanksgiving side dish? Let us know. Drop a comment on YouTube. We'd love to see how many people, kind of what the consensus is there. Gentlemen, just some news and notes on the game before we go ahead and get started. So, a recruit that was at Ohio State actually this past weekend has decommitted. Peyton, 2026 four-star quarterback Peyton Falzone is decommitted from Virginia Tech. He was at Ohio State this past weekend. So I just think that's kind of an interesting development there. We'll see if anything happens with the Buckeyes. He has not yet been offered by Ohio State, but it's also a weird coincidence to me that he's decommitting right after his visiting Ohio State. So something to watch there. Ohio State does not currently have a quarterback in the 2026 class. We updated people on Tuesday night, but still no word on if five-star offensive tackle David Sanders Jr. will be visiting Ohio State this weekend. I know some people have been they've been sending DMs, they've been commenting, they've been asking questions. There's no word on that yet. The Buckeye visitor list is stacked though. Devin Sanchez, Tavian St. Clair, Quincy Porter Jr. I mean, you name it, everybody's coming in for this game. Huge 2027 class. Brady Edmonds, who many predict is going to end up at Ohio State, the top quarterback in the class in 2027. He's going to be at this game, so that's another big opportunity for the Buckeyes. So we'll see what happens, guys, but we are finally here. This is the game that we wait for every single year, for sure. I would say, regardless of who else is on our schedule, it doesn't matter what the record is. This matchup, Ohio State versus the team up north. When you look at them, what do you see in this team? Again, the season has not gone anywhere that they thought it would coming off a national championship. I mean, there are people who thought they would not potentially be in the college football playoff, but they didn't expect them to be this bad this year. When you look at this team, what do you see?
I see a team that doesn't have a quarterback, a team that it still is really good in the trenches. They can still run the football, which was their strength last year. A team that has a really good defense still. They are going to be a tough matchup for Ohio State. It's not going to be we're 21-point favorites going into this game. I don't think it's going to be that drastic of a point differential. I think it's going to be a close game, and this is the rivalry that everybody looks forward to. So I think Michigan's going to give us a test, and you could throw the records out the window at this point. Michigan's going to come in. They're going to try to win this football game, and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, there's incompetence on offense. They can run the ball pretty well. Donovan Edwards has been kind of a no-show this year, so that's been kind of a refresher. But to be honest, against Ohio State, he just seems to just go crazy. So he'll be fine against the Buckeyes, I'm sure. But, yeah, like you said, Jordan, their defense is still really good in the trenches. I mean, their D-line is probably going to be the best defensive line we play all year. So it's really going to test that Buckeye offensive line that's gotten better every week despite injuries. So, I mean, 21 points is a lot. I know we'll make our predictions and stuff, but, yeah, like you said, at the end of the year, both teams could be 5 and whatever, 0 and whatever, undefeated. When it comes time for the game, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to be a fist fight like it is every year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this team and they have switched quarterback. I mean, they've gone to every quarterback they have basically, except true freshman 4-star Jaden Davis, which is kind of surprising to me. But Davis Warren, I assume, is going to be starting. He's got 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 picks. Jack Tuttle retired. Alex Orji is Alex Orji. This is a guy that if he's on the field, he will not throw the football. And if he does, more than likely, he won't be able to get it to anybody in the passing game. So when you look at this team, it truly is one-dimensional. And I would say it begins and ends with not even I wouldn't even say it begins and ends with Donovan Edwards. It begins and ends with Kalel Mullins. He has taken this backfield by storm. He is their leading rusher, 832 yards, 5.4 yards to carry, 11 touchdowns. Donovan Edwards still, I mean, they're nearly splitting carries, which is just wild to me because I understand like the expectation for Edwards this year was he was going to have a big year. Hasn't materialized, and Mullins is the guy. And I don't know if you guys feel this way, but you might not, given that Donovan Edwards has a great history against Ohio State. But I guess the way I kind of look at it, the way Mullins is playing this year, I almost feel like anytime he's not on the field is a win for the Buckeyes. Now, again, you guys are probably going to disagree because Edwards has been fantastic against us. But this Michigan offense has gone this year as Mullins goes.
Yeah, I agree. I think Donovan Edwards is still a pretty electrifying player in the open field. They just haven't had opportunities. I mean, teams are just stacking the box against Michigan. They know they can't throw the football. Like you said, their quarterback, Davis Warren, only has 1,000 yards passing this year. He's maybe started half their games. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. So teams are not threatened by their passing game, and rightfully so. And Mullins has really been their best player on offense. So if you want to stop Michigan, you stop that run game, and it's been a pretty good recipe for beating this team this year. I mean, they're coming off their best offensive performance against Northwestern, hanging 50 points on a pretty low-level Big Ten opponent that's really struggled this year. But all in all, they just haven't done anything offensively that is threatening to the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this team, it's just their passing game is one guy. It's Colson Loveland. And I know as of right now, it sounds like Sharon Moore said he is on track to play. He left their game against Northwestern with an injury. So we'll end up seeing what happens if he actually does play. I would think he would. Loveland has played pretty much in every game. He's been healthy for him this year. He hasn't been sitting any games out, even though I would say Will Johnson pretty much – there's some rumors he's been doing that, but saying he's injured. There was a report that Will Johnson will be good to go on Saturday. I need to believe that when I see it because he hasn't played in a while, and I personally think he's kind of shut it down, but I guess we'll find out. When you guys look at the Michigan offense, how do you think – because one thing that the Buckeyes have been dominated in, it looks like, well, not even necessarily dominate. I mean, when you look at it, even last year, yards per carry wise, Michigan didn't dominate on the ground. But for the Buckeyes to win this game, is it as simple as just make Davis Warren throw the ball?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. And I think the matchups outside, the Buckeyes have the advantage. I know they've been shaky, but we all know how this game is going to be. It's going to be physical no matter what. So I think that plays to Ohio State's advantage, how they're calling the game, because we know Igmanosin likes to get handsy. Denzel Burke our DBs like to get handsy, and that's been exploited, especially last week. But no, I think the physicality will play to the Buckeyes' side in the passing game. And with Loveland, you have Caleb Downs now, and even Sonny Styles. I fully expect both those guys to be kind of overshadowing Loveland all game long if he does decide to play. So I'm not really too worried about Davis Warren, But, I mean, he's still a threat, obviously. I mean, he does have over 1,000 yards, but I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team that they're sitting 6-5. They had 2 games, one against USC that they almost lost. They won by 3. They had another game they almost lost to Minnesota where they lost by 3, 27-24 for both games. Lost to Washington, lost to Illinois, almost lost to Michigan State, only won by a touchdown there. Got steamrolled by Oregon. Had a pretty tight game with Indiana. And then they're coming off that performance against Northwestern where they hung up 50 points. And you can arguably say that they're finding a groove offensively, but that's one game against Northwestern. So I don't think there's anything other than stop the run at the line of scrimmage and force them to throw the football on 3rd and long and make Davis Warren beat you with his arm, because he's proven he can't do that this year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Davis Warren, he has thrown over 200 yards once this entire season, and that was against Texas, where they lost 31-12, and they were trailing pretty much from the get-go in that game. He has thrown at least one interception in over half the starts he's had this year. Now, I will say, since he's been reinserted into the starting lineup, because of course he was benched for Jack Tuttle, he's been benched for Alex Orji, and ever since he's been benched, he's only turned it over once. So he is, I'll say that, he is making smarter decisions with the football. So at least give him credit for that. I think in this game, yeah, force Davis Warren to have to make plays. I really do think that's the bottom line. He still is prone to mistakes. I know that he's only turned it over once ever since he's become the starter once again, but just get some pressure on the guy. I think they should be able to do that. Michigan's lost a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball. You have to be able to get after Davis Warren in this game. And I'm looking at the Buckeye defense, guys. They played arguably the best game of the year. Well, you can make they played really well against Penn State too, but that performance against Indiana was fantastic. And what do you guys think the Buckeye defense needs to do in this game? Because again, the big thing is the last couple of years, they just have not been able to create turnovers against Michigan. And Michigan is able to just pound the rock. And even though they're not creating a lot of big plays, because they're really not, if you go back to just the history of these games, they're not necessarily like last year. They're really no big plays. They just wore down the Buckeye defense.
Yep.
Got to get off the field on 3rd down. I mean, that's you can't let them get 3-4 yards every carry. You just gotta get them behind the sticks early. I think if you can create a loss on 1st down or 2nd down, get them in 3rd and medium and long situations when they're obvious pass downs. I think that's really going to be important. And then once you get into those pass downs, I think you got to bring pressure just to make Warren as uncomfortable as you can. You don't want him to be able to just kind of sit back there and get time to throw, because, I mean, he'll make some throws, I'm sure, but you kind of want to just make him uncomfortable early. So I think getting off the field on 3rd down and kind of getting them in those 3rd and long situations, what's going to be really important for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback like JJ McCarthy that can create outside the pocket and kind of extend those plays that ultimately won them the game last year. Just his playmaking ability when the plays break down, because Ohio State's defense, like you said, they didn't give up explosive plays last year. They were able to hold their own, and there was the game 2 years ago where we lost because of a lot of these explosive plays. They kind of wore us down, overcommitted to the run, hit us deep. Donovan Edwards had a couple big runs and pretty much sealed the game there late. But last year it was more just like no big plays, which I know they had going into that game. They had talked about, like, we have to stop the big play. And they did it, and they still lost because they weren't able to get off the field. Michigan would hit us 3-4 yards a pop and get a 1st down and just keep the chains moving. And this year it's going to be the exact same recipes, except for you don't have that quarterback that can create. So I think it's as simple as getting off the field, just like Nick said. It's going to be smash mouth football for the whole game, and they just have to win in the trenches. It's not going to be, unless Ohio State offensively just explodes for 100 points. I don't think we're going to see a lot of fireworks in this game. It's going to be a lot of old school football.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And this brings up another good point. Michigan has used Alex Orji a lot this year, of course, exclusively in the run game. Do you guys expect to see him on Saturday? Funny enough, last week against Northwestern was the first time he didn't play a single snap for them.
We'll see him.
You guys expect to see him?
I think he'll play.
100%. Yeah. He'll be in there a couple times here and there just to give us a different look. I mean, Sharon Moore's going to throw everything he can at this team this week. I think they kind of have to. I think they have nothing to lose. I mean, they're not going to the playoff. They're not going to the Big Ten title game. They've clinched a bowl game. I mean, one more win is not going to get them a huge difference of a bowl game. So I think they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at this Buckeye defense. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if there's some trickery and they bring Orgy in to do some funky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I can tell you, I mean, if he is in the game, I think it's pretty obvious he's going to run the ball. Now, that said, that could be the perfect opportunity for them to throw a bomb down the field. Now, could he complete it? That's a whole other question. But again, he just brings another dimension. He is a running threat, but it looks like every single time he goes in to run the ball, it's so easy to stop because basically what's coming. So that is one thing to watch on Saturday. The other thing, guys, the weather. It's going to be in the 20s. It's going to be windy.
Oh.
How much of a factor do you think the weather is going to play in this game on Saturday?
I don't think the cold weather would play as much of a factor as if it were raining or snowing. I think these guys are kind of acclimated to that weather right now, and I don't think it's gonna. If anything, it would benefit Michigan in this game, but I don't think it's gonna hinder Ohio State enough for the matter.
I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
Yeah. So some people were talking about it, so that's why I'm just kind of curious on your guys' thoughts on this. So in this game, we talked about the defensive side of the ball. I think it's pretty obvious. You got to get pressure on Davis Warren. I'd love to see it happen with your front four. I feel like I've said that for a long time, and it just continuously doesn't happen. So if not, I hope Jim Knowles gets creative again on the blitzes because those were really effective last week. But now on the offensive side of the ball, guys, what do the Buckeyes have to do on offense in order to win this football game? Because that will be the challenge. Michigan's strength is the defense. We know that. And especially that defensive line, those defensive tackles, it's the best tandem arguably in the country with Kenneth Graham and Mason Graham. So what do you guys think the Buckeye offense has to do in order to win this game?
I think the big thing that sticks out to me the most in the last two games of this game, our quarterback has thrown 2 interceptions. So you can't turn the ball over, period. Can't have it at all. I think you just got to play clean football up front. Will Howard's done a really good job, especially lately, of taking care of the ball. I think he's been making some really good decisions. He's making quick decisions. So I think we're definitely set up to have more success this year, especially the way Chip's been calling plays. It's designed to get the ball out quick hitters, make our playmakers make plays. So the big one is you just can't turn the ball over. That's what I'm looking at, number one overall. And then obviously pass protection and run blocking down the field has got to be super important. But, I mean, it's just the basics, right? I mean, that's what I feel like we say every week. No turnovers. The offensive line's got to dominate. And then you'll win the game. So I think those are the two big things for me.
Yeah, I agree. There's not a special recipe to win this football game. You're looking at a team that's 6-5. They're not contending for anything, but like I said, throw the records out the window. It's going to be a barn burner, and there's the turnovers is going to be huge. I think we're going to see a very similar performance offensively that we saw last week against Indiana, just because of the strength of Michigan's defensive line. I don't think we're going to run the ball a lot. I think we're going to try to establish it, but I don't think we're going to have success early on. And so I really do think the game's going to be won through the air for Ohio State. And Will Howard's going to be the key. He's going to have a really good game, be clean, make all the right reads, and and put some points on the board, because if we can get a lead early, I don't think Michigan has the firepower to catch up once they're put in a hole. So, just take care of the football and make it happen.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I think Will Howard needs to be clean in this game. I think that's the most important thing. I know we talked about it, JD, on Tuesday. That interception, I still think it's bogus. Personally, I think you got to find a way to credit when a pass literally goes through a receiver's hands. Somehow credit them. But I mean, he was nearly flawless in that game against Indiana. Need him. I'm not expecting this. I think to expect over 80% completion percentage is just every week. It's just kind of far-fetched. But I mean, again, just another good game from him. And I think that's going to be a really big thing to watch in general, is just with Will Howard not forcing the ball down the field. Because again, you don't need to, but I will say the one thing that worries me is when you drop back to pass, how does this offensive line handle that pass rush? Because again, Mason Graham has crushed Ohio State the last couple of years. And so that's kind of the big thing I'm watching. Carson Hinsman up front. How is he going to handle that? Because, again, this is now going to be the second week this offensive line combination is played together, only the second week. That's – people need to take in consideration. It is not – that's one of the hardest positions to get chemistry with, is that offensive line, that group, that cohesion. So that's kind of what I'm watching, is the offensive line. Can they protect Will Howard in this game? I think Will is going to need to make some plays with his legs in the run game, because I think we might struggle to run the football. We did against Indiana, and you're going against a tougher defensive front. So I think Will Howard's the key. Of course, don't make any mistakes in this game. I do agree. If Ohio State gets up by 2 touchdowns, you can almost say curtains, because I just don't know if Michigan does have the firepower, because, again, I don't know if Davis Warren can make enough plays in the passing game to keep them in this football game. But it's going to be interesting, guys. Obviously, we know the Buckeyes have lost 3 in a row in this rivalry. Incredibly frustrating. I don't think we need to talk about that anymore, but it's incredibly frustrating. Ryan Day, there's a lot on the line. Of course, his legacy at Ohio State, potential future. You lose this game, like, you just never know.
Yeah. If you lose this game, what do you think happens with Ryan Day?
It all depends on what happens in the playoff if we make it,
Yeah.
I think he stays.
He would stay.
4 in a row is tough, though, dude. That's tough.
That's John Cooper level.
God, it's tough, dude.
It's a conversation that it's an episode.
I mean, I know we'll talk about it. God forbid it happens.
Let's hope we don't have to. Let's just hope we don't have to talk about
4 in a row is tough.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I mean, like, there's a lot on the line in this game. Of course, Ryan Day. But then not only that, the seniors that came back that have never won this game, there's a lot on the line, guys. Ohio State is, as of right now, it's changed a little bit. They are 20.5-point favorites, according to BetMGM. Of course, Ohio State's the huge money line favorite in this game. First off, do you think the Buckeyes are going to cover 20.5 points? And second, what is your prediction for the game?
I guess I'll take this one first. I think Buckeyes cover. I think they cover pretty easily, to be honest. I think the offense is really going to keep clicking. Defense has been unbelievable. They're going to be really locked in. And like you said, TJ, there's just so much on the line for this game that there is just, in my mind, there is no way that they can come out flat. There's no way, right? So I think Buckeyes cover big. I think it's 35-10. I think Michigan scores, but I think 35-10. Buckeyes cover big, and we keep rolling on to Indianapolis for the Big Ten title game.
I think we're going to have a little bit of a celebration here on Saturday. I think that this game, like you said, there's a lot on the line. There's been so much build-up for this game, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we've never seen an Ohio State team under Ryan Day that has been this locked in for the Michigan game. We've never seen it. it seems like the last couple of years we've been sleepwalking into this game, and
we were dancing last year.
Huh?
We were dancing last year.
Yeah. And so I think this team is ready. They know what they need to do. One of the things that we kind of complained about on this show was the amount of noon games we played leading up to this game. And I think that's going to play into our favor this weekend. You know, this is going to be our 6th straight noon football game. This team knows how to play at noon. And like, it's funny to say, but some teams will come into a noon game and they get caught off guard. It's early, you know, you have to wake up early for your pregame routine. You know, you're coming off a night game the week before, you know, it's just a little bit different. Ohio State's done it 6 weeks in a row. I think that they're going to be juiced up, ready to play. So I think that this game is going to be a blowout. I think Michigan will score. They'll score 10, but I think the final score is 52-10. I think Ohio State handles the business that they need to handle. I think Ryan Day doesn't let off the gas in the fourth quarter. I think we see similar Ryan Day play calls to what we saw against Indiana. You know, 2 minutes left in the game, he's not taking a knee. He's going to be trying to score and hang up as many points as possible this weekend. So 52-10 is my score prediction.
All right. Well, man, I would love to not be stressed about this game on Saturday. So I hope that's the final score.
I will say the last 2 weeks, I've only been 3 off on my Ohio State scores, and I was right on with both of my opponent scores. So
I hope that streak continues.
JD's got the sauce, bro.
I've been locked in on my picks.
Hey man, no, that's true. And like I said, I hope you're right, because I would love for Saturday to be stress free for real. Like, not have to worry at all. I do. So it is a rivalry game, and you kind of mentioned it. The records go out the window. It doesn't matter. Michigan's 6-5. It doesn't matter. Ohio State's 10-1. What's at stake here is a rivalry that dates back hundreds of years. It's about Ohio State needs to get back on the right track and take control of this rivalry, and that starts on Saturday. Now, I don't think they are going to cover in this game. I just don't. I think it will be close. I don't see a blowout. Ohio State will win this game, but I think Michigan will make some plays. I do think Mullins gets a touchdown this game. Edwards gets a touchdown. I don't think Davis Warren ends up really doing much. I think he gives us at least one turnover, and that's if he even throws the ball enough down the field for us to even get any turnovers. I expect Jim Knowles to send pressure at him, and I'm really curious to see how he handles it. Again, especially given all the talent the Buckeyes have on the defensive side of the ball. But I got Ohio State in this game. I got them 31-17. I do not think they cover. I do think it's going to be – it's a rivalry game. I don't expect a blowout in a rivalry game. I just don't. It's rare that you see it, and that's why I just don't think it will be. But I do think the Buckeyes get on the right track, and we get a fun round 2 rematch with the Ducks in Indianapolis. So it's going to be a fun game, guys, I'm sure. Again, hopefully, JD, you're correct. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
Ryan Day, get it done.
Yeah, I mean, just gotta win. Just gotta win. That's all it comes down to, just win.
Absolutely,
Win, baby,
absolutely.
win.
Final thing I have to say, Will Howard, you're a true Buckeye quarterback, and fans will remember you forever if you win this game. Contrary to what state media might say. So, anyways, guys, drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Drop your score prediction down below. Let us know what you think the score of this game will be. Again, the show will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But we appreciate you tuning this episode of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. Hope you and your family have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. We will talk to you guys all again soon. And as always, go Buckeyes!
Go Buckeyes.